Welcome, welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you could be with me live. Tonight, we're gathered for summer solstice. This is the midpoint in our annual rhythm with the sun. I have a lot of the usual crew in here, and then some of the elements class, and a lot of extra folks are dropping in. So welcome, welcome. We talk about the seasons. We get together every 6 weeks. We have winter, spring, summer, fall at quarterly. And then the midpoints in between winter, spring, summer, fall are what we call the lunar gates of power. And so the solar rhythm, winter, spring, summer, fall, the one we're at now, is more outward and having to do with you moving through the world and making choices and decisions and things going on. In this case, for Cancer, your personal life, your private life, and how you take care of yourself. And can we take a little pause 6 months into the year to restore our energy and look at what's working and what's not, and choose how we want to do the next 6 months to a year as consciously as possible, right? So let's take a deep breath in. Summer solstice is officially the midpoint in the year, bringing another turn of the wheel and the peak power of the light. So this is the longest day and the shortest night. So we maximize that light. And before it does surrender and move toward a true completion of that which we seeded at winter solstice. So this is also the checkpoint. What I call the best course correction time in any cycle is the midpoint. And so now we think solar, how you're moving in the world. How has that been going for 6 months? And where do we need to make some course corrections so we close the year strong, right? Winter and summer, of course, are permanently opposite each other, eternally balancing and rebalancing, integrating and reintegrating the life, death, life cycle. So this is where we're following the light, y'all. The sacred season represents the time of year that we can focus on balance and integration. Think of your light and shadow, yin and yang, feminine, masculine, inner and outer. In our case, Cancer, Capricorn. So that rules a lot of our personal and public, our private and public sides, our home and work, how we function in our fundamentals. Really important things are associated, let's say, with the turn of the wheel, right? So while winter might be a time of rest, replenishment, and rejuvenation, summer solstice is a time of pouring forth, emptying out, and fully birthing or releasing your creations or whatever you've done with your creative energy thus far this year. So again, it's just a check-in. The midpoint of the solar year is a point of culmination and choice, a time to count your blessings, assess your creations, gather power, and activate the courage to move forward. This is a balance of your outer world and your inner world, with emphasis on the sacred space where you fortify and replenish so that you are able to contribute something significant to society or to your family and your community, right? Be creative and operate from heart center as you move through this sacred season. Release what needs to be released and fertilize the next phase of the annual cycle. Summer solstice is a time to celebrate the primal creative force, the mother of all mothers, which is Mother Earth, by acknowledging the blessed container, nurturer, and protector that she is for all life on this planet. We want to connect to and honor our own instinctual nature at this time and be mindful of the nutrient that you take into your space, mind, body, and spirit. Summer is the sacred season of maximum light, so let's be passionate and be present. Okay, deep breath. It's important that we, again, just assess what's working and go deeper, deepen your dedication to that which is working. And anything that's not working or any things that are not taking root or starting to blossom for you that you did start within the last 6 months to a year, then we want to reallocate those resources and rethink some things to see what's going to really be sustainable and profitable, fruitful, however you want to look at that. We want to be able to have our creative projects go forward and be fruitful. Right? Now, the chart is interesting. It's ruled by the fixed energies. So we know that this season, as we're doing our replenishment and recharging our battery when and where we can, in between these creative flows and things that come through, we do need to do some anchoring or some regeneration or some cleansing around our self-love, self-worth, and self-value. So thinking about your authentic self and how you want to shine your light, how does that work? Knowing that you are enough, and loving that, and your unique contribution, feeling like you have something to offer is really important to feel a sense of self-worth and value. Also, if we get literal with our creature comforts and personal security, then it's food, sex, and money and the essentials that we have. What do you feel like you're worth in terms of quality food, quality time, and intimacy with people that you love and care about? Where is that rank in terms of your priorities? And can we do a little reshuffle this quarter? Right? We want to look at this guidance as really holding us down at least between June 20th and August 6th. That's what the energetic support is going to be about before we meet again. So for this 6 weeks, again, you're going deep into where's your value? How can you increase your worth? How can you beautify yourself or your environment? How can you anchor something permanently or release something permanently? So if we are going through some changes and purging and rebirthing, then this is going to be a good time for you to do your self-care, to deepen your dedication to that, to going into your own consciousness and beliefs and looking at what you believe to be true or possible, and maybe doing a little cleansing and upgrade there. You definitely have the ancestors at your back. This chart has got all the Cancer juju in the 8th house of the ancestors. So all the family DNA patterns, the negative patterns that you want to break, and calling forward those positive patterns that you want to anchor and fortify within yourself is all possible this quarter as well. We're still going deep on our spiritual practices and really anchoring real-time things that help you get through the day and cope with life and the pace that you're going. And maybe there needs to be an adjustment there as well. We have a lot of energy supporting that self-preservation piece. So it's not a lot of other directed energy in here. It's all very personal. Look in the mirror, work on you, and handle what you need to do to feel strong and healthy, but also to get in a rhythm that's natural for you and not going against your nature or your natural rhythms, right? So deep breath. That's our seasonal overview and our Sky Council availability. We've got lots of support, y'all. But our energetic support, I did this a little differently. I think the last go round, I went in date order, and now I'm going to go in planet order so that we're just looking at the energy of each planet and what we're looking at for the next 6 weeks. Starting with the moon. The moon is kind of a big deal because we're in what I call the lunar flip right now. So we have 2 Capricorn full moons to 1 Cancer new moon, which means we're doing a double release in 2, most likely 2 different areas of life. So in my case, it's first and second house. So it's very personal on my identity and my values, and just letting go of things for the last 1 year, 3, 6, 9, and 12 years is some bigger cycles kicking too. And so this is allowing us to let go of obligations and responsibilities and things that we carry like a burden. That we're done. We're done. We're going to double down on that cleansing. And the idea is to let go of anything that's draining your energy or resources so that you can plant those seeds for stellar self-care. The highest possible expression for Cancer is that they take good care of themselves so they can take care of everybody they love. And that part of you that does need time to recharge, however you do that. Some people like to sleep a lot. Some need to get in nature. Some want to be active. Whatever it takes to recharge your own battery, let's think about that. And know that what we're releasing so that we can move forward and take those ancestor gifts and the wisdom to the next level. This is the lunation that's going to be the strongest, and we're flipping the order. So let's say for the last 18 months to 2 years, there's been a rhythm with the full moon, new moon, where the full moon came first. And we had to do all this release work in order to even try to plant seeds. And then we have to walk by faith. Now that order's flipping, and now the new moon is going to come first, which means we do have to plant our seeds and walk away and then see what we see at the full moon. It's not my preference, and this is why I tell you all about it, so that you know your preference, because now I'm going to have to work a little harder to pay attention to the seeds I'm planting so that when I get to that full moon, I'm actually taking things to the next level and clearing things that are going to allow those new moon seeds to pop. So the rhythm's changing, and now we're going to have a lot more new beginnings over the next 1.5 to 2 years, looking at trying new things and being in new relationships and partnerships and things like that, and learning what those rhythms are and recalibrating so that we can function. That's where we are. And again, with that private public thing, that needs to be recalibrated at this time too. How much time are you giving yourself to replenish and take care of yourself? And how much are you out there doing things for the family and the community and the world? So this is definitely the lunation to recalibrate that so that, again, it doesn't feel like an onerous duty, but there are things you're choosing to be responsible for, choosing to dedicate your energy and resources to. And then the Leo Aquarius lunation that follows that always gets us back in touch with our heart. So if we can take care of ourselves in the Cancer Capricorn lunation and get back to our personal needs being met at a basic level, right? Then Leo Aquarius gives us time to play and think about how we might want to express and get with other folks in certain kinds of ways. So we don't even want to do that during Cancer Capricorn because we're recharging so many internal settings, right? And so once we get to Leo Aquarius, though, that usually implies other people, your love life, your community, your friends, and who you want to create and play with. But who feels like playing when they don't feel good in their basic levels? So let's use that double dose of release work to seed something new that's more sustainable and more fulfilling and keeps you locked in, again, with your personal needs being met before you go to try to do things for everybody else. Okay. I'm always going to remind you that self-preservation is not selfish. It is essential and the first law of nature. So deep breath. That lunar energy also rules our moods and our feelings. And there's a little ebb and flow with that too. So checking in with the elements of what the moon signs are doing in their day to day might help you be more effective in your choices. Now, Mercury's on its way to something, but for our purposes, between June 20th and August 6th, it's moving through Cancer, Leo, and then getting to Virgo and retrograding through the Leo Virgo. So this little Cancer minute is also supporting our lunar work because we're reworking our consciousness around these things that have to do with self-care and getting your needs met and how that works from June 17th to July 11th. So a little bit under a month there that we can focus on this with the support of Mercury at our back. Also, I just really believe if we reset things personally there, when it gets to the retrograde, anything that you're reworking through the Mercury retrograde will be easier to handle, let's say. But if we avoid self-care and we don't take care of ourselves and we get to that place where there's a light shining on us in certain kinds of ways, it's not going to be comfortable. So it really is a good time to pull inward and tend to your own personal needs before the rewiring of our brain and thinking and our creative ideas, which is a lot of what happens in Leo Virgo as well. It's our relationships. It's how much energy we want to put into certain things and how much our systems can actually handle. So there's going to be an upgrade, as only Mercury can do 3 times a year, but it's coming, y'all. So let's just start preparing ourselves. Venus is even there. Same day, Mercury and Venus get to Cancer on the 17th. Did I say July 11th? July 11th is Venus. July 2nd is Mercury. So they're both like a week apart moving into Leo. But for most of our time here, it's going to be Cancer, Leo with Venus. So that's another indication that we're going back to what's important around your personal needs and your creativity and confidence and fun side of things. Like there's this essential thing, and then there's the expression of your unique individuality that we would be remiss without it. So we like for that to be good for you to be able to express, but a lot of times we can't get to that Leo fun thing if we haven't taken care of certain Cancer individual needs. So Venus is kind of lighting that up as well. Also, you might want to think about the fact that this is another circle back to Leo where she did her last retrograde. So this is about a year later. We can look at how much we've improved that department, what has shifted in terms of our self-love and self-value and self-worth, especially in relationships, especially in our love lives and sex lives. There was a big push. We brought Cinnamon in to talk about Mars and to get that balance of Venus and Mars and that masculine feminine so that we can not be walking around here so imbalanced because our needs aren't getting met or what have you. So let's pay attention to that this year and this summer and ask yourself where it's working and where it's not. You know, where are you feeling good about things and where do you feel like you need some upgrades or some kind of updating to the system? Now, while Venus is in Cancer, it has ease and grace with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So again, I think your spiritual practices and your daily practices, whether that's for your body work or what have you, is going to be what allows you to negotiate with others better, to navigate in the world better. If your little everyday things are in place, then any curveballs the universe wants to throw you, you're going to be better off. So I would just say, you know, let's use that ease and grace to anchor them further, to do a little bit more divinations and clarifying and confirming with your spirit team about what you're doing or any choices that need to be made this season. And there's an opportunity while Venus is in Cancer to Uranus and Taurus. So there's this awakening liberation thing going on around your essential needs already, around how you want to improve things. Like I said, beautifying yourself or your environment. All of that is very supported during July. And then when Venus moves into Leo, it's going to polarize with Pluto. It's going to be opposite Pluto in Aquarius at that 1 degree. So here is that support for any ultimate transformation that you're going for this year that is basically stripping the non-essentials, stripping the aspects of yourself that no longer really express who you are or what you want, basically, but truly not what you want to be known for, or the kind of expression that you're going for. That's all getting a little stripped and upgraded in a certain kind of way, especially when Pluto gets involved. It's a permanent shift to how you express yourself in the world. And usually, because it's Venus, we're going to narrow that down to your relationships and finances and see where certain integration and changes need to be made so that you can recalibrate the balance if things have gotten extreme in some kind of way. But whatever it takes, you want to honor the change, honor the endings or new beginnings that are trying to come through right now, to be okay with all that and not hold on over long to things that are trying to leave your life or people that are trying to leave your life. Let it go, because they'll either circle back at a higher level or they clear out to make room for the right people to come in. So we're never upset about that. But while she's in Leo, that integration of a transformation has to happen, doing a little purification around your resources and relationships. There's an opportunity to expand your consciousness. And specifically, I would narrow down on friendships and community and the people you want to play with, the people you want to learn with and do the classes and things that we do together. Our circles are kind of overlapping and connected, because this is the crew that's interested in learning about Earth and sky, learning about the planetary rhythms, our personal human cycles and patterns and things, and how to function a little better when you know what the energies are doing, right? So Jupiter in Gemini is actually a good thing. This is air and fire. So that creativity, those connections to your spirit team are getting stronger. They're becoming more reliable. Hopefully you're using them more often. There's a lot of times I have to remind people to take advantage of their spirit team, that they're not calling on them enough. You're doing a lot of heavy lifting yourself. You don't want to do that. You want to invite the team to do that. And the biggest challenge is going to be Leo to Taurus when she squares off with Uranus, because if you don't shift when Pluto hits her, then Uranus is going to come through and crack the whip and let the chips fall where they may. And that may not be what you want to do. By the same token, when she hits Uranus, for you creatives and you artists and writers and people that feed on ideas and creativity, that's going to blast that out of the water. So that day, let's see, is August 2nd. That's close to the next time we're going to meet. So for the most part of this 6 weeks, she's really doing some good stuff around expanding what's possible for you, the individual, but also what you can attract and what you can magnetize in terms of support. And then that's Venus. So now we'll shift to Mars. This 6 weeks, Mars is in Taurus until July 20th, and then moves through Gemini and does not hit Cancer until September 4th. So here's another preparation for a retrograde. Mars only goes backwards every 2 years. So I want you thinking about the every 2 years upgrade getting done in your Taurus department and your Gemini department, because this is preparation for where it's going to linger in Cancer, Leo. So just know that that's coming down the pike. But Mars is our energy and passion and actions and choices and things. And so moving through Taurus, it gets us real focused again on our essential needs and what's going on the ground in our bodies. And how do we want to do that? This Taurus energy, though, is in a good opportunity angle to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So where Venus had some ease and grace, Mars is creating some opportunities with those same two. So I, again, sort of double down on being committed to your practices and to communicating with your spirit team more than humans, because humans are a little unavailable for consultation right now. Everybody's going through something. So it's better to reach out to your spirit team. But it's like with Mars, you get results. So if you've been dedicated in terms of your values and reorganizing priorities in a certain kind of way, then when you go to do these choices and actions that Mars might prompt, you're going to have better results, as long as you're clear on your heart and your worth and what you are wanting to express at that point. So July is good for that. I think on the same day, well, I don't have a date on this. Mars is getting with Uranus and Taurus, and this might be the last one because, like I said, it only comes around every 2 years, and Uranus is getting ready to move on into Gemini soon enough. So this might be our last one out of, let's say, 7 to 8 opportunities to break free of the old identity and purpose, to liberate ourselves from old ways of expressing. There's so much that goes into cracking us open when Mars gets with Uranus, but it's a conjunction. So it's an initiation, and there's amplified power for them to really create the freedom by your own definition. You know, what is sovereignty to you in terms of your everyday needs and how you function and what's practical, and then your big dreams and ideas and ideals that you want to create and explore as well. So just know this is a new beginning, and it's going to shift. Like, we've been working on this liberation in Taurus for 7 to 8 years here with Uranus. So this is a process that's been in process for a while now, helping strip you of the non-essential and release things that no longer matter and shift those values to what's really essential here and now. If nothing else, we know COVID hijacked that and made us all think about what's really, really important. So we have that new beginning energy. And again, we can be very productive if we rely on our spirit team and do our invisible work or our behind the scenes work or our personal work. Then everything out in the world goes better. And then Mars is going to shift to Gemini July 21st, and we'll have ease and grace with Pluto. So we have some integration, and it's a little more challenging than the Venus side, but this ease has to do with your consciousness. And I think with whatever new ideas might be bubbling at this time, again, what choices and decisions do you want to make this summer that have to do with who you are and what you want, or your identity and purpose? What's going on there, and how can you expand it? Think a little more progressively. Think about what needs to change now so that 1 year, 3 years, 5, 10 years from now, things are in place the way you want them. You know, really take advantage of that. And then as Mars moves into Gemini, Jupiter's moved to Gemini. So this once in 12 years, you know, Mars only gets there every 2, Jupiter only gets there every 12. I don't know what the math is to get them together, but it's a good initiation of a new story to tell, this narrative that you're living. Let's evolve that. Let's improve that and integrate all these things that you've been learning and picking up and wanting to integrate what you've learned into what I call embodied wisdom. Once you start applying the practices and the things that you've been learning lately, then the more you're going to start seeing results, and you'll start to rely more and more on your spirit team like that. So just know that's a big initiation, August 14th. So that's a little after we're going to get together. So we'll probably talk about that one again, but it's a good prayer day, would be August 14th. Anyone with really strong Gemini needs to be claiming a whole new day. And 2 days later, it squares off with Saturn. So here's the thing. Jupiter expands the possibilities and our consciousness and what's possible. But Saturn comes 2 days later in Pisces and challenges that to, you know, how much is imagination and how much is hard work, right? How much did you expand your vision and how much do you need to actually pare it down and prune it a little bit? What happens is Jupiter presents the possibilities and Saturn comes behind it and says, how can we make this real? So, right while you're having this new beginning, there's a challenge to the reality to be able to integrate it. So we want to be mindful of how that shows up, how that manifests for you as an individual. And by the same token, we're talking Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces, which are the processors. So we're also, it may not be as tangible, although Saturn brings the tangible. It's more about your consciousness and your flexibility and fluidity. And I got several Geminis on here in that one. And Jupiter's only there every 12 years to expand and improve that whole department. And for me, it's 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So I already know I'm going to start doing the little things with other people a lot more than usual, more than I have in the last 3, 6, 9, and 12 years. So look for that expansion in the Gemini department, but know that that means changes have to happen in the Virgo Pisces department to accommodate it, to accommodate that expansion and that growth that we've all been through in terms of what we've learned over the last 12 years of a Jupiter education, right? So think about that and know that first Mars squares off with Saturn and then Jupiter squares off with Saturn. So we're still growing and changing in who we are and what we want. And then we're going to have to grow and change in our consciousness so that our reality and purpose can grow and change as well. So it's not always easy, but it is worth it. And in that case, we have a lot of energetic support. Now, this might be a good pause for the cause. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, Kelly. Can you repeat what you said about the 14th? I was multitasking. August 14th.
August 14th is a prayer day for Mars and Jupiter getting together to initiate in Gemini. a whole new 2-year cycle of who you are and what you want in terms of your creative ideas, in terms of your friendships and networks, in terms of your choices. You know, sometimes I feel like I don't have enough choices, and sometimes I feel like I got too many choices. So balancing that out for yourself, whatever that may be, is a lot of what Gemini energy gets activated. You know, whoever's there, but it's Mars, who you are and what you want, and Jupiter, your consciousness. So all the learning and teaching, all you eternal student and teachers, this is the year where you increase your value and you go deeper with whatever you want to specialize in. I always tell people you have your base, but then think about what you can grow legs out of that base and do other things that are very unique to your offerings, your gifts and things like that. That is going to get expanded. And I think we should be experimental and not too attached. Right? Let's try things with different people, try different modalities, work on your spiritual practices, and try different things to see what works for you, because that's the other thing. You're the magical, mystical piece, right? So that brings the unique experience for each of us. Anyone else want to pop in? Okay, no questions though. All right. So now we look at June is wolf medicine, and I went back and corrected that I had put bear. So I guess Spirit wants y'all to have both, because bear is what is here, y'all. Well, wolf is already in there. So bear is for July. And that's when we get to balance our personal input and output. So I like that bear medicine for that as well, especially with all this other buzzing in Gemini, because we're going to need to balance our input output some kind of way so that we can stay balanced and productive, let's say. The housekeeping will be around your boundaries and around your personal rhythms. We're composting old obligations, which we've already kind of touched on. And we're seeding the new sense of self and the increased self-care. So we like that. The prayers and affirmations are around boundaries, health, and emotions. The prompts, the journal prompts, are around rest and reflect, nourish and restore, fortify and replenish. And the Mad Libs are around sacred space, cycles and patterns, process, assimilate, and eliminate, which we're going to actually talk about a little bit. That's going to be our divinations. So wolf or bear. Wolf is communication. And again, with the friendships and networks and all the housekeeping being around that kind of thing, or, you know, letting go of the old story, essentially, so that you can step into the new one with new friends and new people and new things to do and stuff like that. So, you know, wolf and bear for June and July are wonderful. Now, I'm going to touch on the reading, the summer solstice reading first, and then we'll go into the divinations. Now, I've made PDF readings for all 8 sacred seasons. So they're different questions every 6 weeks where you can tap in and get a PDF or a PDF and an MP3. Most people just do the PDF, but this reading is in the classroom where the replay will be uploaded. And this is my community reading. But what I want you to know about is what the basic reading is for. At summer solstice, like I said, we're at the midpoint, we're course correcting. So we want to ask what will assist with the review and integration at this time. The summer solstice reading is usually done annually in June or July to honor the midpoint of the year. It's a time to celebrate all that you have been able to accomplish this year, while taking some time to tend to your own personal needs and individual replenishment, because there is more to be done before the end of the year. This reading was designed to support your summer of stability, healing, and restoration in preparation for this year's fall harvest. Essentially, you are deeply supported to review territory that you have already traversed. We want to review the last 3 to 6 months while becoming acutely aware of that which still needs to be done before the end of the year, so that whatever you are tending and cultivating this year can support and protect you going forward. So like I said, this midpoint is always a check-in. This is a 10-card reading that you can get for yourself, but for the community, we did number 1 is review your life from a higher vantage point, and we got understanding. And this is from the Osho Zen card. So that understanding card is that one where the caged bird is in the cage, but the cage is open. And we've all felt that way before. So it's like this awakening that you're freer than you thought you were. You know, we want to look at things from a higher vantage point. Reassess your plan, what needs tweaking, And we got the awareness card. And in the Osho Zen, that one has the veils melting away as you become more self-aware. And at this point, since we're into Cancer, more conscious of how you take care of yourself is a big part of that. Number 3 is reconsider your options. You have more than you think. And we got the integration card on this one, which is also about balancing masculine and feminine and inner and outer and all those polarities that help us function at higher levels. So reevaluate your beliefs is number 4 in the present moment. You know, what are you believing? Because we got the healing card. That was, I think, the king of water. So we're healing some of our beliefs so that we can tell a new story, essentially. 5 is reconnect with your intuition, open the channels, and we got participation. So again, I think that communicating with others, playing with others, working with others, you know, being around other people with different kinds of ideas and consciousness than yours so that you can learn something is helpful. It is also helpful to be with your people that validate your thinking and that understand where you're coming from and where you feel safe to express like that. So we're working on all that, but participate where you feel comfortable, because that's the ultimate Cancer thing. We got to feel comfortable wherever we are. If it don't feel right, we ain't doing it, and you can't make us. So yeah, it's any of the water babies. That's Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, and all of us have a certain kind of sensitivity. So not doing anything that you don't want to do for the next 2 months. That's all I can say. Ride it out as best you can. Then number 6 is reform your being from the inside out. And we got the harmony card. And that's that one where she's all zenned out and the dolphin is like jumping over her head. I love that one. But it's this inner harmony, this inner peace that we're going for at this point where, again, if you're peaceful internally and you're feeling kind of even and balanced, that's what you're going to magnetize. That's what you're going to attract. So we want to be able to do that from the inside out to kind of shift. Or if you're like me, we already been real chilled, we need to activate some vitality. You know, you might need to go another way with that as well. It's personal. Then number 7 is rewrite your story for the next 1 year. And we got courage, which in the Osho Zen is the flower growing out of the crack in the sidewalk. We got to push through and get around some boulders, y'all. But we can do it with that courage to rewrite the story, to believe something new, to live into a new narrative, to practice till it feels right. Because that's the other thing. We're such habitual creatures. Typically, humans are habitual creatures that we get in a groove, and that groove is what we know. So then we think it's the right groove, but it's the wrong groove until you practice with other ones. It doesn't feel right at first. And you've got to feel into it until it either you're clear, no, this isn't for me, or it starts to take. But don't expect any shifts that you're doing right now to just take off the bat, out the gate. If that happens, that's a blessing, but that's not guaranteed. A lot of times when we're breaking negative patterns and trying to reset new things and put new things in place, it takes a little practice. It takes a little wiggling to get it to fit right, you know, and to be suited to your nature or to your individual rhythm. So let's rewrite that story. Let's elevate. Let's improve it, expand it, think bigger. Whatever you're doing, think a little bigger, expand that vision. Even if your monkey mind says that's impossible, bump that, do it anyway. Right? Just do it anyway. And number 8 is renew your sense of self at a new level. And we got creativity, which was number 3, Empress in the major arcana. So you all can roll with that. But renewing this sense of self at the new level is because you've been stripped bare. So much has been released and cleared that you've let go of, that you're coming out and coming up into this new level. It's raw. It's kind of new. So take your time, use that Cancer mama nurturing energy to take care of the root, to take care of the little beginnings that you've got bubbling right now, whether they're internal and personal or public and part of your offering to the world, you know? And most of all of my readings come with above and below, which is how to navigate externally or internally. And so the above in this reading for this quarter, outer, external, worldly, others, and public, we got possibilities. And I believe that's the eagle flying above it all, assessing the possibilities. That's another thing why with all this Gemini energy, it might be hard to commit in certain ways because you're still learning, you're still figuring it out, you're still feeling into things. So don't even be upset about that. And don't let anybody shame, blame, or guilt you into making choices and decisions under any kind of duress because you're in an exploratory mode, right? Let's just be okay with that, like detach from outcome. Let's just try stuff, see what works, track a little, take a few notes so that you can remember, but observe those possibilities out in public. Like what's happening? What's my road of ease and grace, you know, where maybe I don't want to be bothered with people, or what is my inroad to that networking or those people that I do want to talk to? Below internal, inner, personal, self, and private navigation, we got the breakthrough card, which it's all red, it's all energy, and she's busting through and breaking the old patterns. I think we can have faith in that if we make these shifts internally. That is what Uranus is going to come through on some of those other dates and just liberate us completely. So this is in the classroom as well with all the details of each card. You all can go through that on your own time for a little confirmation. If I were you, I would pull my own cards and validate a few things that pop in when you do that review. But that is the reading and the structure that you could also order one for yourself for only $25. So a little pause. Anyone want to speak on any of that?